Welcome, everyone, to the Missouri Freedom Initiative. Hey, it's almost 7:30, and I see a 5x5 already coming in on YouTube. Put in a 5x5 or put in your favorite gun caliber to let us know you're hearing okay and that the audio's good. Hello to Gary Ride, Wilderness Gal, Almeria, and, of course, Abby Someone, who is Aaron Moffat. So hopefully Aaron is listening in. So, yep, okay, the music is actually done. That is Slave to Servant with one of their songs, Pearl. It's the acoustic version, which I actually like better than the standard version, with the electric guitar. But yes, please chime in. Let us know if you can hear us. I'm going to go ahead and undeafen myself so the panel can hear. And we have a great panel with us before I get back to the debt clock, which is ticking up, gang. If you guys saw that, it's $60 billion more than it was last week. So someone had a birthday in Washington, D.C. or something. But, okay, back to the panel. First of all, of course, we've got Isaac with us tonight, who's going to be presenting in a mere few minutes. We've got Gretchen with us tonight. We've got Caleb with us, also known as Liberty Revolutionary, Voodoo Queen. Plus, also, we have Sam Britton with us on the line, as well as Doug and Maya. So welcome to everybody. And Almira's putting in 150 millimeter. And let's see, 45-70. I'm not sure what caliber that would be.
45-70? You don't know what a 45-70 is?
Well, I know what a 45 is, but 45.
You don't know what it's an old lever action round that's still used today, and it's a really common large game hunting round.
Gotcha. Excellent. Wonderful. Well, good deal. Hey. And we got a 155. Let me check on, let's see. And, of course, we're hearing from Ozark's Freedom Gal. And she's saying, hello, Patrick, I'm going to the Capitol on Monday before the rally. Do you have any targeted work that needs to be done? Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Reps and senators could use one-person knock and shock. Yep, it's not officially a knock and shock, but we will be going after co-sponsors while we're there, for sure. So, yep, you're absolutely welcome to join. And, of course, we'll be there for the rally as well. And, okay, so we are, but we will definitely be working on silver and gold on Monday. That's happening. Like I said, the rally's happening. We're definitely going to be there for the rally. But before and after the rally, we're getting other work done up there relating to silver and gold. So that's an important aspect of what we're doing Monday. And if you guys saw my email newsletter, I want you guys to remember, it looks like we have a committee hearing coming up on the 20th of February that's not actually chiseled into stone yet, but it's getting close. And we're going to secure that on Monday with our meeting with the chairman of the Financial Institutions Committee, and that is Representative Michael O'Donnell. So that is going forward. We're still meeting with people. We're still working silver and gold pretty heavily. And also John Grady had sent me an email reminding folks that there apparently there is a hearing having to do with that hemp bill, and that's during the rally. I've made a commitment to be there for the rally, so I cannot testify at that one, although I would if it weren't during the rally to help shut that bill down. But I have already submitted a testimony online. It's called a witness form. Anyone can do that, and I will find the easiest way to show you guys this in a little while after Isaac's presentation, and we'll go into doing witness forms, gang. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And Patrick, will the legislative office still be available since it's Lincoln Day? Monday is a work day up at the Capitol. So, yes, we will still have access to, I don't think they take the day off for Lincoln Day.
No, it's not a federal holiday. So
yep. So, yep. All right. Good deal. So, Shane Gordon, he's letting us know he's watching on Rumble. And Tom Martz has joined us too. Okay, gang. The only other thing I want to do is remind you two things before we get started with Isaac's presentation is the rally that's on Monday. Now, that rally's at 1:30 p.m. It's in the afternoon. It's in the rotunda. Anyone who's been in the Capitol before knows the first floor rotunda, and that we actually have it scheduled there. So that's where it'll be. And it is not a knock and shock day, so it's not an official knock and shock day, but I am going to work gold and silver while I'm up there, of course. And I should be there, I would say, about between 9 and 10 in the morning is when I will be at the Capitol, right about that time. It's every single time it's it's difficult. Sometimes there's a tractor ahead of me on 14 and there's a half a mile of traffic, so that happens and stuff like that. So I don't give exact times anymore. I try my best. It's about a 2-hour, 45-minute drive for us to get up to the Capitol on average. So, okay. And then the other one is tomorrow night, Sam's show. And I know the Super Bowl is tomorrow, gang, but I promise you, if you want drama, if you want intrigue, listen to Sam's show tomorrow. Retha is going to be his guest tomorrow night. And my God, the drama and the intrigue and the childishness that we are seeing out of the Owensville superintendent and board in the school system in the district up there having to do with Retha, who, these guys won't come and talk to us. When we're up there, we go up there. They send their spouses to our seminars. They don't go themselves. And now they're all brave going in the paper and saying that Retha is spreading disinformation. So at any rate, we'll be dealing with that tomorrow night. And hopefully the superintendent will be listening. Maybe she'll have her husband listen to the radio for her. You never know. She tends to do that. But I do want people to remember tomorrow night at 6 p.m., Retha will be on Off the Cuff with Sam and Trish Britton. And she is going to talk directly to the situation that dealing with the school, referring to her as disinformation. And she's got a lot to say on this subject, too, because she said this to the paper. So now the Missouri Freedom Initiative is being called, basically misinformation in the local, what's it called, the Owensville Republican or something like that, or the the Gasconade Republican?
The Owensville, actually Gasconade County Republican.
Okay, Gasconade County. Gotcha. Thank you. So at any rate, we'll be addressing that, as particularly since the paper won't carry our side of the story, the math, the fourth grade math that the paper doesn't, because the school is offended. And so they called up the paper to prevent the story from John Grady from even going into the paper when he was covering Retha's work, her fourth grade math, specifically on the bond structure and how they're actually handling their finances with the shell games. So we'll cover that tomorrow night with Sam's show. So please do tune in to molibertyradio.us. Of course, if you're in Owensville, it's 101.3 FM. If you're not in Owensville, molibertyradio.us. Okay, without further ado, we're going to bring back Isaac, and he's got some pretty interesting updates for us having to do with the World Economic Forum intrusion into the state of Missouri via legislation, politicians, businessmen, businesses, and resources. So, Isaac, welcome back to the show. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thanks, Patrick. All right. To get started off, I just want to let everybody know that my goal for tonight is to, just as Patrick said, be able to talk about how the World Economic Forum's influences is impacting us as Missourians, which politicians are affected mostly by it. I also want to touch on the Missouri Supply Chain Task Force report. There is so much in that is so overwhelmingly connected that I just want to begin to dissect that more. I'm going to do the best I can to not go down too many rabbit trails. I'm going to try to keep this under 20 minutes, try to distill this down one bit at a time, and hopefully be able to do more in the future to where I could just take one little channel of this and follow it. I also want to preface this by saying everything that you're going to see tonight is from official government websites. Every link will be provided in the show notes below and will be pinned there. If it's not a government website, it is the World Economic Forum's website or the businesses' website themselves. I'm not pulling this out of some random 4chan forum out of the dark corners of the internet because so-and-so's brother-in-law heard something. This is straight up the official documents. So give a little bit more background on the Missouri Supply Chain Task Force. This was actually commissioned by Governor Parsons, and it was Executive Order number 2113. And there's a lot of whereases here that people might find interesting, some of them being Senate Bill 262 of 2021. That was the sales tax on gas bill that came through, and I believe that was Congressman Schatz. That's had a lot of interesting things connected to that. So I'll just put that just a little bit there. And this was done on November of 2021, and it came out June 30th of 2022. In this report, as I mentioned last time I was on, it showed a list of different stakeholders that were the authors of the report. A couple of them I want to point out here. If you go through and if you just do a quick Google search on any of these businesses, you'll find at least two of them that are directly connected. You'll see Nestle and General Mills. Those are the two big food manufacturers that you see in this report. If you go to the World Economic Forum's website, it's interesting because both General Mills and Nestle both have with World Economic Forum. Okay, so we also know that World Economic Forum interests are being represented within this document. We also talked last time about how the problems they had with we don't have the right housing, and we need more public housing, and we need more public transportation next to the housing, and we need more early childhood care right next to the public housing and the public transportation. Those are some of the issues that they had. Some of the other things that this thing touches on are connected and autonomous vehicle infrastructure needs for the state. So you're looking at autonomous vehicles, you're looking at electric vehicles, you have all sorts of green energy that is needed. And a lot of that ties back into World Economic Forum, Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development Goals. So you have all of this language that's tied into that. Last time we also touched on Missouri Cobalt. Missouri Cobalt is owned by U.S. Strategic Metals, or actually I should say U.S. Strategic Metals is owned by Missouri Cobalt. And they have John Deal, the former Speaker of the House, who has been involved in scandal after scandal after scandal. Every time he turns around. So he is one of the primary people at this business called U.S. Strategic Metals, which, here off the World Economic Forum's website, you see how green energy is one of the key things that they have as one of their primary planks of what they're trying to push forward. What's interesting about Missouri Cobalt is one of the vital critical minerals needed for everything green energy. It's used in batteries, electric vehicles, computers, computer chips, you name it. So if you go to U.S. Strategic Metals website, where I'm at right now, you will see a few different interesting connections. They have projects in the Congo at this Mutandana mine, which is the 5th largest cobalt mine in the world. Now, if you were to take the amount of cobalt that is estimated to be produced at maximum capacity of both of these mines on an annual basis, if my math serves me correct, and if anybody can correct me on it, I would happy to be corrected on this. It appears that about 20 to 25% of the world's cobalt on an annual basis will come out of these two mines, which are based here in Missouri, with John Deal at the helm. So everything needed for that one vital resource we need is right here in Missouri. All this green energy transition that they're wanting to do. That mine is also operated in conjunction with Glencore. If anybody's familiar with Glencore mining, we have a lot of Glencore people. Glencore is the mining division of the World Economic Forum. And it is their business that focuses on gathering all these raw materials and raw resources out of the ground to actually make these technological things happen. There's another person I find interesting. He's one of the founders and the chairman of the board is J. Randall Waterfield. He is a former Goldman Sachs executive, and he has a very interesting history. He had inherited a large private mortgage company and insurance company in Indiana from his, I think it was his great grandfather back in the 1920s. It was started. And he divested of everything in 2006 and 2007, right before the big real estate crash, and has since diversified into technology, real estate, asset management, merchant banking, etc. I could probably spend about an hour just talking about what all this man does and is invested in, which goes along with everything World Economic Forum Agenda 2030 related businesses. But one of the things he is chairman of is the Young Presidents Organization International, YPO. YPO it's an organization of 24,000 CEOs from 130 countries. And they are one of the workshop at Davos at the World Economic Forum every year, where the CEOs get to go and dig deeper into those topics. He is one of these key guys behind organizing the CEOs from around the world to push World Economic Forum's agenda. He is one of the people that was the founders of this cobalt mine in Missouri. If you're looking at one person who is heavily connected with the World Economic Forum, look no further than J. Randall Waterfield. He is heavily tied to them. So right now with U.S. strategic metals, and that being Missouri Cobalt, I want to start looking at some campaign contributions that they have made to a specific United States representative that holds a very interesting position in our government. That is Jason Smith. Jason Smith represents the very district that their holdings over by the cobalt mine in southeast Missouri. He covers the entire southeastern portion. I don't think I have his map. I might have his map up here. Is this it? I can pull up his map here real quick. His map covers the entire portion. This includes all of the lead mines, all of the now cobalt mines, where the copper, the nickel are all mined. He has an overwhelming percentage of the aquifer, the Salem aquifer, that is southern Missouri and North Arkansas. His district just happens to be representative of that. But Representative Smith has a very interesting role, and that is the fact that he is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee for the federal government. So if anybody does not know what the Ways and Means Committee does, they are the committee inside the House of Representatives that controls all taxation bills, all spending bills, all revenue gets referred to them, exports. They are it's one of the most powerful committees in the entire federal government. All taxation, all spending originates with the House, especially spending bills by the Constitution have to originate in the House, and they are the committee that gets to have the most say over those bills. Any federal dollars that go to any federal program, any federal grants passes through this man's hands. And it's just so interesting that J. Randall Waterfield is a donor to Jason Smith, along with John Deal. And if you take the $11,600 from John Deal, and you take the $5,800 from J. Randall Waterfield, together as being part of Missouri Cobalt, and compare that to Jason Smith's other funders, them two together would be the top donor for Jason Smith. What you also see under Jason Smith is you see a lot of other businesses. You see Ernst & Young. They are WEF. Pfizer, WEF. Northwestern Mutual, WEF. Blackstone, WEF. UBS, WEF. And each one of these people, Ernst & Young, Pfizer, Northwestern Mutual Vice President Laura Diener, all these are straight from the World Economic Forum's website. Blackstone, UBS. There's a couple other on further down pages. AT&T. You have Deloitte. All of them are just happen to be the top contributors to the man who holds the purse strings of the entire federal government. And it has at the top of his donation list, J. Randall Waterfield and John Deal, former Speaker of the House of U.S. Strategic Metals. Is anybody else shocked that the World Economic Forum is paying off? There's the number one contributor, this man who controls all spending on the federal level. I'm not a coincidence theorist, so I will say that. So when you start looking at the World Economic Forum and what their agenda is and what people that they are paying off, and there's one thing that I found out in the time that I've researched legislation, there's not really many pieces of legislation that don't have a paycheck or a donation or a campaign contribution attached to them. Somebody's going to be paying money somewhere down the line in order to make sure that those bills get through. And it usually comes in the form of campaign contributions. So that's just a quick rundown of where World Economic Forum, it has a quite heavily vested interest in Missouri, and particularly southeastern Missouri, it appears. And whenever you start connecting things to like John Deal and his business partner there, he has a lot of influence even after he's left office, disgraced, over our current Speaker of the House. Another thing that he has done, John Deal, and I'll touch base on this, he is a key guy in real estate development in our state. And one of the biggest opponents of IP reform is the Missouri Realtors Association. And, says here in part of his bio that he has served as partner and business development leader in the real estate and public finance departments of two of Missouri's largest law firms that dealt in that very thing. So is this a direct tie? Could be, but the fact that John Deal has heavy interest business-wise inside of real estate and real estate development in the state, he's tied with a lot of World Economic Forum people that have a lot of interest in us just because of the resources, the minerals, the logistics, the transportation. Go back to the beginning of where we started with this, where the Missouri Supply Chain Task Force, we have World Economic Forum members right in here. We have Missouri Eastern Railroad, Jaguar Transport. They aren't directly WEF, but they are connected. And if anybody wants to further that one, I don't have the reports right here to connect them. You see, so much of the world's food supply flows through Missouri. The minerals that are located, we have the three largest rivers in our North America flow straight through us. So much of the entire nation's economy and the world's food supply flow through us. So there's just a lot of interest. There's lots of investments being made by the World Economic Forum in us. So this isn't something that, we think of World Economic Forum as these big, giant globalist powerhouses. But we don't really take time to look and see at how much those players actually filter down to the very small towns and communities that we all live in. They are very well alive and active. And much of this we all deal with on a daily basis. And these decisions that are coming down and these campaign contributions for certain legislation to be promoted for, it's affecting each of our lives. So it's not conspiracy. I think I've proven pretty well that there's a lot of money flowing into our politicians for these agendas that they have. I think that's about it I have for tonight. If anybody has any questions, I would be very happy to answer them.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to compliment you on finding a connection with John Deal and the Missouri Realtors Association, because that's a big deal. That is, forgive the pun, big deal, John Deal. But the fact of the matter is,
quite the deal maker, isn't he?
Yeah. I never made that connection before. Never. And so clearly I didn't dig like you did. But I think that's important. If you're a politician in the state of Missouri, let's look into this. Let's look into this because there's just, as Isaac said, there's too many coincidences here. Far, far too many constantly never ending hitting us in the face coincidences.
And this is just the surface. I mean, I'm not even trying hard. Most of these names I'm seeing, I'm typing in the name and WEF behind it in Google, and it pops up straight on the World Economic Forum's website. You type in any agenda, it's straight there. And you can see the money payouts straight to the politicians.
Yep. And by the way, that's another thing. We have Catherine with us now, and maybe it's time to start looking into PACs, basically involving this kind of stuff too, because the kind of money that was going in there probably had to be PAC money. So I mean, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, investments in a politician. That smells like PAC money to me.
Well, also you look, that's Jason Smith. So he's a U.S. federal level.
Yep, I understand that.
You also look, he's also not even the highest paid one. He's actually one of the poorest federal politicians on the books. He has actually some rather small compared to some of them. But who the campaign finance comes from is the biggest thing that I find, and his district.
Yep.
And, people were wondering, how on earth did this guy from South Missouri become the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee seemingly out of nowhere? Well, when you look at what's in his district, that one vital resource, that one vital mineral that they have to have, that's now the only source of cobalt in North America that's viable, because the other cobalt mine actually just shut down here a month or so ago because the price of it's dropping. This is it. If without this one mineral, they don't have a fourth industrial revolution. They don't have the green energy they need without depending on China, who I don't have the article handy. They just stopped exporting those raw materials back in December.
Yeah, well,
I think that's really good news, quite frankly, what China just did, because the World Economic Forum is bound and determined. They're saying that they need to triple by 2030, their agenda. They want to triple green energy renewables, and they desperately need cobalt, which is in very short supply.
Yep.
Well, actually, that being the case, and I understand that Jason Smith is one of the poorest people in Congress. I don't want to suggest anything that I don't know, but money is one way of compensation. There are other types of compensation out there too that Jason Smith may be receiving if he's, one of them. And information, we talked about this in our last live stream. Information is a currency. So, he may be paid off in information that he can translate into currency at a later date. You never know. So I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know. Everyone I talk to seems to think Jason Smith is a good guy. What are your thoughts, Liberty?
Considering where his position is, and the fact that he's in the position of being in that area, that's his district. That sounds pretty on point. Usually committee assignments come from campaign donations. Mm-hmm. Let's be blunt. That's how Congress runs. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Thomas Massey went through that, and he actually publicly spoke about how they choose, who they basically have to buy their positions in the campaign,
Sure.
Their committee positions. So there's something else there, obviously. And that's something else is the fact that he's in that district they need.
Yep. And so once again, to my point, if he's not rich and he's one of the poorest guys in Congress, yet he literally is chairman of Ways and Means, which is budgetary. How did he get there? How did that happen?
Another thing that I covered this article on the last time I did, there were 14 counties in Missouri that were slated for heavy investment by the federal government to make this factory production and scaling facilities in Rolla. He represents Rolla, S&T. They have like all these hundreds of millions of dollars, and you look at the county list of what they're deeming necessary for high-tech investment. You're looking at Texas County, Shannon County, Reynolds County, Dent, Iron. That is hillbilly country out there. There's nothing to you don't have internet in half of these places still yet. You don't even have landlines. I mean, it is remote. There's a lot of people that don't even have, grid tied electricity because it doesn't exist out there.
Yeah, when they start mining that cobalt, they'll get all that stuff. I'm sure, and more.
And another thing about that is, in that area of the state, especially where he's at, how much of the nation's beef supply comes from that district? That has one of the, beef and timber are the predominant things out there. So if you're, like we talked last time with these water pipelines, what happens if you lower the water table 10%? Everybody's on a well. How many beef ranchers would be put out of business?
Yeah. And essentially, they could lower their pumps, but you can only go so far, until you have to drill a new well. Basically that's, and by the way, before you go, Isaac, there are questions that have come in. And this is on the chat side of our socials. So if you don't mind, I'm going to regale you with some of these questions. Gary Ride said, and I know the answer to this one, isn't that Michelle Latham's area where Jason Smith and the cobalt mines are located? Haven't heard anything from her about the WEF for quite some time now. And yes, that is definitely
very
her.
Much. Mm-hmm. That's Cape Girardeau. That's where he has 3 offices. One is in Rolla, one's in Cape Girardeau, and I can't remember the third one. Okay. But there's also, his ties to other Missouri politicians. Benny Cook of Texas County, who's one of those 14 counties. He's over in that area. Benny Cook ran Jason Smith's office in Rolla for a while. So you also have that. I also, know this just because of some personal acquaintances that Jason Smith's church is the same as Ron Copeland's in Salem. So he goes to church with Ron Copeland, or used to before he moved off to Washington, D.C. I mean, he does have a lot of other politicians in his district that hold state offices as well.
Yep. And let's see. Missouri Outdoors is chiming in. I live 2 miles from the cobalt mines here in Frederickstown, Missouri. So, yep, that's the area we're talking about, Missouri Outdoors. That's your backyard. And now, it doesn't mean the area is poison.
May I consider investing in a water filter from all the poison that might go into the water table from that mine?
Yep.
Yeah, seriously. Slap a reverse osmosis system on your house. Yeah.
And
Isaac,
Julie,
can you speak?
Go ahead.
Isaac, can you speak again to the transportation issue that Missouri is also, because so much of the food and stuff goes through? Do you know of any plans to do transportation lines from these areas in and out?
So, are you talking about like what means? Because right now, Missouri, we have all the river barges. The barges go up to Missouri all the way up into Nebraska. They go up into, Iowa on the Mississippi. Ohio pours in. So if you look at all of the food that goes in, let me pull up just pull up a Google map to show people. In Missouri, let me put this in here. And if you look at just different resources we have, you have the Mississippi River here, you have the Missouri River, which goes all the way up through here, the Dakotas, the Platte River is one of its tributaries. Kansas grows an astronomical percentage of the world's wheat, Nebraska, Iowa, all the corn that goes through there, Illinois. North Missouri is filled with soy, corn, wheat as well, cattle. So you look logistically, it's centrally located. The population of the United States is south of Fort Leonard Wood. Just as many people north, south, as east as west. If you need to distribute something, obviously you want to be in the middle of everybody. You also look at it from a defense standpoint. If you have an adversary want to attack you, which is going to be easier to attack, New York Harbor or Missouri? Obviously, New York. Why? Because it's right there on the coast. Missouri's defensible. It's landlocked. You're not just going to be invaded. You have the three largest rivers. You have the Great Lakes. You have Duluth, which is one of the top priority corridors for the federal government to build to tie that up, because not only does North America, tons of wheat and oats and barley and canola are all grown in Canada here in the Great Plains. So, everything flows down through Missouri. Yeah, logistically, it's very important because we're centrally located. We have all of the everything needed for society is really just it's a perfect match. It's in Missouri.
You know what else Missouri has a lot of?
What's that?
A very large chunk of the DoD's property.
Yes.
you have Honeywell, which actually they manufacture everything, including the big, all the electronics and the components for the things that are at Whiteman.
Yep.
Which Whiteman, it's the B-2 nuclear program. You have Lake City Army Ammunition Plant holds 96% of the Army's ammunition supply.
You have Fort Leonard Wood, which trains 110,000 soldiers for the U.S. Army every year, and they have the Chemical and Biological Warfare Division there as well. St. Louis holds the Space Intelligence Agency data processing facility. There's a lot of military engagement in Missouri as far as, that again comes down to defense. Where are you going to put all your soldiers? Right out in the front or as far inland as you can get them? Not to mention the cave systems we have as well. Underground warehousing we have in Kansas City and Springfield and Joplin area. It's immense.
I forget how many nuclear warheads are stored at Whiteman. I think it's 210.
Does not make me feel comfortable.
Yeah, where they are.
Okay, let me get with a few more questions here. Basically, and I can't remember who wrote it. I'll have to find it again. But basically, someone's suggesting that maybe the governor is involved in all this as well, and that would be Governor Parson. And now that was kind of a statement. And it was Julie A. Julie A. says it looks like Mike Parson is cooperating with the WEF too. And it does look that way, Julie. From an awful lot of what's going on here, I would have to agree. But it's really, really tough for me to nail that down because he's too busy celebrating Chinese New Year for 4 months out of the year. So he's doing a lot of that too, and that doesn't strike me necessarily as WEF. But our governor's hard to figure out from my point of view.
Yeah. On that same note, one of the interesting things, because I've tried to research some of the Chinese investments in farmland and all that. Speaking of that, I need to make a correction because China doesn't own hardly any farmland in southeast Missouri. I said that last time. I need to correct that.
It's in the north.
Mostly north central.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at China's investments here, they want nothing to do with the mining. They are all about the food.
Yep.
They're about the pork. They're about the corn. They're about wheat. They're about food production in the state. So they're about the real economy, not the fake green economy. Because the real economy isn't stocks, bonds, and green energy. The real economy is, tankers of, carloads of coal and barrels of oil and pork bellies and bushels of wheat.
Yep.
That's what China wants. And I can't find them tied anywhere directly in some of this. There's some ties between some things and other mines in the state that are connected, but not directly with what I'm finding so far.
Yep. And I'd like to throw a small plug in here because Tom Martz chimed in on what Liberty was saying here about reverse osmosis. That basically a whole house reverse osmosis system is pretty expensive. It's about $25,000, but you can do one cheaply for just drinking water. And also a little bit of a plug for Tom. Tom is in the southwest Missouri area, and he is in the water filtration and water softening business. If you guys have ever thought about it, by the way, full disclosure, I have never actually hired Tom for anything, but we already have a lot of water filtration, softening, reverse osmosis, and all that kind of stuff. And we're on a well. And but I highly recommend, we're on a well. People would think, oh gosh, you got the cleanest water in the world. You're on well water. Well, not according to instruments we have. It's like 140 parts per million out of our well. Out of reverse osmosis, it's down to about 12. So reverse osmosis is taking a lot of stuff out. Now, I can't tell you exactly what those are, but I suspect a lot of it's sulfur. But we don't get that smell because we have a tank that removes the sulfur smell too. We've spent a lot of money on treating our water. But if you need an expert to help you with water problems, look no further than Tom Martz right here in the chat inside of the YouTube side of things right now. He often comes into Gilded, but he has connection issues. So I'm just going to throw that out there, particularly for you guys in the Southeast. If they start mining, there is a possibility of contaminants getting into the water system there. So you guys want to look into some type of filtration probably at that point. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's kind of what I was alluding to was the drinking water systems. You can get the taps that go on your sinks and then tap that system off of your other, like off the main line that comes in.
I just thought of one other thing that connects to like the cobalt mines in China. One of the things that Jason Smith is actually head of outside of the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee is he's also the head of the Hunter Biden investigation. And one of the things Hunter Biden was involved in back in 2016 was he brokered a cobalt mine in the Congo that is about, I think, 60 miles from the one that Glencore operates in conjunction with Missouri Cobalt. And he brokered that deal to the Chinese back in 2016. So there's a connection there that he sold that from an American mining company to a Chinese firm in the Congo. And now you have one guy that's paid off by the cobalt mining industry who's in competition with that very same mine right next door. And he's the guy investigating the man that did that.
Hey, Missouri Education is chiming in saying, look into the Department of Economic Development Agency overseen by Kehoe. Missouri Education, can you give us a little bit more than that? Because can you give us something to start with, a thread to pull on? Forgive the pun there, Catherine. But, I mean, that's actually a large, and once again, it's Missouri Education, and I know you from Twitter. Thank you for coming into our feed, by the way. Love your work on Twitter. But Missouri Education is saying, look into the Department of Economic Development Agency overseen by Kehoe. So is there something specific you would like us to look up, or is it just, the general, goings on of business in that one every day or something? So that's the question I would ask you. And also Misty is chiming in saying the Japanese own a lot apparently in southeast Missouri. So a lot of land, a lot of mines.
I've not investigated the Japanese. I would be interested to see some of the sources for that in documents.
There is a World Economic Forum article that's titled Japan. Let me get it. Let me pull it up. But it's all about how they fix their rare earth mineral issues. Give me a second here. Mineral issues. Give me a second here.
I found it right here.
You got it?
Drop the link in the chat. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll drop the link in the chat.
Mineral issues. Give me a second here.
I found it right here.
You got it?
Drop the link in the chat. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll drop the link in the chat.
Interesting.
Okay, we're seeing it now. How Japan solved its rare earth minerals dependency issue.
Got it? Okay. The supply chain and ESG is a really big thing with these rare earth minerals.
Okay, gotcha.
They're very focused on it at the World Economic Forum.
Because without it, they can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get their
And
surveillance state up. They can't get their their hyper, AI networks up. They can't do any of it.
they want global cooperation all over for the supply chain and for the mining. They're all about investing, crap tons of money into new technologies to extract. It's pretty, I mean, they're all on it.
And
We'll
once again,
stop it
having to
one
do with
way
supply
or
chains.
another.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying the people will stop it one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I meant this is part of what we're doing here. I know when I put a notice for this video up on Twitter, I had some people saying, I can't believe this is happening in Missouri. And I moved to Missouri to get away from Illinois, to get away from the WEF agenda. And here's the deal, gang. This stuff is happening in every state. We're just exposing it in the state of Missouri right now. That's the difference here. This isn't Missouri is being taken over and all the other states are being left alone. Trust me. The WF have a huge interest in New York, in California. Huge interest in those two states. Huge. I mean, it can't be
Idaho.
Well, I'm not even 100% sure about Idaho at this point, but well, hang on.
Lower Idaho.
Well, yeah, they have an interest in
northern
Idaho,
Nevada.
but it's not as big as like California, New York, or Missouri. So, guys, this is happening in your state. No matter what state you're in, this is happening at some level. But the interesting points that Isaac keeps bringing up for us over and over again are the people that are tied into it, that are politicians or previous politicians and big business people in the state. They are working with the World Economic Forum, and it's not like they want to take over. Well, they do kind of in a way want to take over the world, but it's really all about money. It's a follow the money game, with the World Economic Forum. It's the same thing that Catherine and Kirby do in every video they do. Follow the money, follow the money. And then you can literally get to, the root of the matter. And that's true with the World Economic Forum, too. Now, the World Economic Forum doesn't make money. Corporations that join with or partner with the World Economic Forum give them money. That's how they get their money. And they do it because they want influence in other countries, multinational corporations. That's specifically why they do it. But the fact of the matter is, this is our state. I don't want the World Economic Forum here. I don't want their agenda here. I don't want anything that they represent to be here. I don't want a New World Order in my state of Missouri. So we're collectively as a group, and lots of other people too, are exposing this. That's what we're doing. We're exposing this. We want everyone to know what they're doing and who the players are, so that maybe politicians can actually do the right thing and actually start shutting down some of this legislation that's going to make it easier for the WEF to conduct business in the state of Missouri. For instance, piping water out of the state. Guys, I can't stress this strongly enough. The two big takeaways from everything Isaac has been sharing with you is not necessarily the people. It's the resources. It's about water and minerals. And that's what the WEF wants out of Missouri. And farmland's a part of it too, but probably not as big as the cobalt and the water. And there are bills right now in our legislature basically for piping water out of the state. Doesn't even say where they want to take it to. And so, gosh darn it, what was the name, Isaac, what was the senator that had that bill where he said basically you just get a permission slip from the DNR and you could pipe water out of the state? Who had that bill?
That was Senator Bean. I don't have that
Jason
one
Bean.
handy.
Okay, gotcha. That was Senator Jason Bean.
Yeah. You forgot one other big resource that they want in the state too, and that's labor.
Yep, the labor.
People,
you're right.
People want human beings. Human beings. They want not just minerals or water or corn. They want human slaves. You read this supply chain task force. They need more people for more low-income jobs that can live in government housing. That's their goal. And I would have to find the page on it, but when you start looking at their recommendations for oh gosh, where's it at? I have to find it here. All the recommendations they have. Task force recommendations. One of them was actually to establish state general revenue funds for water ports. So that entire water port thing from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Federal and state investment in inland waters to provide consistent So you start looking, there was one in here that actually mentioned, I'd have to find it, the Waterways Trust Fund. That was the big thing last year. It actually came out of here. You start looking at we need early childhood education right next to places of employment. That's the governor's goal this year. I mean, they want the people. They want us to be their slaves. They want us to live in their pods, eat the bugs, own nothing, and we'll like it.
Yeah.
I was reading the World Economic Forum's white paper that they put out in December called Securing Minerals for Energy Transition. And right at the start, they talk about risk characterization. I just want to read this real quick. They have what they call, it's the SMET initiative, which is Securing Minerals for Energy Transition. And the SMET initiative, quote, has explored ecosystem risks. Now, what do we think about with ecosystems, right? We're thinking environment. Now get this. Their ecosystem risks, namely, are risks not only to the primary stakeholders in the value chain, such as raw mineral suppliers, technology producers, original equipment manufacturers, and intermediaries, but also secondary stakeholders, including consumers, governments, and the wider society, and the environment. It's the very last thing. Mm-hmm. So their ecosystem means something different than when we say ecosystem, we're thinking birds, bees, waterways, the earth, everything. When they say ecosystem, it's all about their system of money and exploitation of the environment, actually.
Yep. That's a good point. In fact, Missouri Education kind of chimed in here with what they were talking about, that apparently the organization, Department of Economic Development, basically they give grants and incentives. And part of that was the new battery plant that went into St. Louis, to make batteries for electric cars. And that's in, of course, Dean Plocker's district. That's one of the businesses he brought into his district. And I believe there's cricket factories, or whatever you want to call them, cricket farms, mealworm farms also going in. What's that?
Alternative protein farms.
Alternative proteins, that's right. That are also going into Plocker's district. And Plocker is tied to John Deal. How do we know this? Because when Scott Vaughn was interviewing him, John Deal called in the middle of that interview, and he had his phone actually speak the name John Deal, to let him know who was calling. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. In fact, that in itself became the story of that interview, was the phone call that Dean Plocker got in the middle of the interview when he was talking about a scandal that he was in. And that was, of course, John Deal calling. So at any rate,
Providence.
Maybe you already know about the new battery plant in South St. Louis. Yes, we did know about that. That was a Plocker deal. Plocker brought that company and that plant in. They've been building it for over a year. They should be done, and they should be starting the process of making batteries pretty quick now, is my understanding. Also,
and cobalt is a major, that's how they make batteries. So if they have it all in this one area,
correct.
It's going to be a gold mine for all the people that are, investing in it. And
except for the people that don't want the cars,
not us.
Yeah, the people don't want the cars though, so they'll be building the batteries, for love, apparently. I want to throw something else in there that Missouri Education has put in that's actually very near and dear to my heart. Watch for electric policy for Bitcoin data mining electric energy, now going to ESG. Yeah, that bill got slapped onto the silver and gold bill in 2023. Mm-hmm. And that was the Satoshi Action Fund, I believe was the name of the organization. Went through Krista Finelli, Representative Krista Finelli, and he left it on there for over a month. He wouldn't take it off, despite getting a phone. By the way, I joke not when I say this. Representative Krista Finelli actually got a phone call from Ron Paul asking him to remove that from the bill. And it took another 2.5 weeks before he took it off the bill. He got a personal phone call from Ron Paul. asking him to take the Bitcoin language off the silver and gold bill. So some people may not have known that. I happen to know that for a fact. But Chris Stefanelli certainly didn't tell anyone. He had opportunity on the floor to tell everyone he got a phone call from Ron Paul. It's kind of a big deal for a guy who considers himself a libertarian. He kept it to himself. He kept it pretty darn quiet. So shame on you, Phil. You should have taken that off right away when Ron Paul called you. Okay, let's see. Looking for more questions here because I know that our time is short with Isaac. Let's see. During times of flooding, let's see. Tom Mart says that's what killed SB 100. I'm not 100% sure that killed SB 100, but it certainly slowed it down. The fact that John Patterson taking orders from Plocker is what it looked like, because those guys were on the phone across the House floor, from each other. I think Dean Plocker was waiting for them in the Senate to allow sports betting through on the floor of the Senate before they would actually take a vote on SB 100. Senator Eigel drew a hard line. No more corporatist bills. Let's get some grassroots bills done now. That's kind of the hard line he held. And so consequently, SB 100 was collateral damage. I think that's what killed SB 100. But Tom, I will tell you, we did the canvassing all over the House, and it lost support when that Bitcoin language went on. There is no doubt about it. We think it still would have passed by a pretty good margin. I think it was 62% is what we figured out. It would pass with 62% of the vote. But it had more than that before the Bitcoin language went on. Folks are saying thank you so much, Isaac, for your presentation and sharing it with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's see. Satoshi staff writes Bitcoin for ESG articles. So Bitcoin is going the route of ESG, apparently, is what Missouri Education is telling us. And that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, does not surprise me. Okay, I'm going to check.
The weird part about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the weird part about that is they're always talking about how much they want to shift away from that and go to what is it, the oh god, stake mining, whatever it's called. I can't remember the word for it.
Staking,
but,
staking your coins. In other words,
yeah, staking your coins.
Yep.
Which it's weird that they would be combining that with maybe that has something to do with the structure for Fed Now. Maybe they're going to run Fed Now like it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like the old Bitcoin model.
Well, of course, it's going to be a cryptocurrency. It's just going to be, basically centralized out of the Federal Reserve.
But what I'm saying, though, is usually when you're dealing with staking, it doesn't require nearly as much electrical power to run.
Yeah, Bitcoin takes more, to get
far more.
Yep. In fact, you got to go where the electricity is cheap.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm saying this. That means they're probably pushing the Fed Now CBDC in the direction of how Bitcoin is mined, which would make sense considering that's how you'd kind of replace the concept of printing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
The more energy you put into it, the more they can print.
Yep, I got you. Yeah, Ozark's Freedom Gal wants to say, and this is in relation to Ron Paul calling Chris Stefanelli, Representative Chris Stefanelli, right here in Missouri. That's like Santa calling you personally to let you know that you're making the naughty list. Yeah, when you get a call from Ron Paul, he's either very happy with you or he's not very happy with you. There's really no in between, I guess. But I'll tell you what, though, Ron Paul made more than that phone call. He called Dirk Deaton as well. And rumor has it he called Jonathan Patterson and possibly Dean Plocker. But no one's talking. We don't know. And by the way, this is last year, so it's not this year that happened. But it's worth asking those guys if you run across them, if they got a phone call from Ron Paul. But, of course, the phone call from Ron Paul was to, number one, get this bill through. Number two, before you do, get the crypto language off. That's what Ron Paul's message was to everyone involved. And of course they didn't do it. Ron Paul was doing everything he could to try and get his 2 cents in. Okay, going to check for some more questions here. Let's see. Missouri Outdoor says, in Frederickstown, Missouri, they have also built critical mineral recovery plant that is 225,000 square feet. Holy mackerel, that's a big building.
Within
I
a
live
mile of that.
Yep.
Jesus.
Let's see. And then basically scary at this point what they're doing to our water. And I can't read the rest.
The dirt they
okay, and dirt.
plant
Okay,
in.
gotcha. On my side, there's a heart covering that part of the text, so I can't see.
Yeah,
it.
I've got it kind of stretched out on mine. So.
Okay. Yep. So that's what they're doing. Let's see. Let's see. Missouri Education says Isaac is amazing. Anything we can do or look into to help him? Isaac, I'll let you answer that.
Right now, just take the links and the information provided and run with it. I don't want credit for anything. Take it, plagiarize it, spread it. I don't care. The one document I have found the most helpful has actually been the supply chain task force document, because everything that we've been dealing with the past couple years, I'm beginning to find links to that. Like this Jaguar transport and this rail line that just got purchased from Sullivan over to Frederickstown. That's tied into the supply chain task force. The Waterway Ports Trust Fund, it's task force. Early childhood education, task force. Transportation, everything. It's in this task force report, this supply chain one. People just need to just start combing through that and getting through the boring wording of it, or even just start searching words in it. Search the document for anything you want to find, and I'm finding so much stuff inside of that. This was essentially their blueprint for what they've been doing the past 3 years.
Let me throw something else in. First, I want to get to Misty's comment. The U.S.-Missouri Partnership and the Missouri Department of Economic Development have an office in Tokyo, apparently. So
it's not surprising.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I want to share with everyone right now, because of Isaac's work, is to share with you the understanding, because a lot of people think that every single attack that we face in the country is really going to be on the federal level. Yes, there are attacks on the federal level. The Green New Deal is a very big part of that. That is literally a down payment to communism in the United States of America. It's about property ownership. That's what the Green New Deal is about. It's about farming and how farming is conducted. It's about people going on alternative protein diets. That's what that's all about. But however, the states can fight the federal government on this nonsense. The problem is that once your state gets taken over to the point where you can't affect positive change anymore, you're pretty much done. You need to just move to another state that has been fighting and has kept them at bay, that has literally kept the barbarians at the gate. That's why we ask everyone, no matter what state you're in, to look into this nonsense for the World Economic Forum. Look into the ties, the business ties between your state legislature, between big business people, big businesses in your state. This is and expose it. Expose it. And then, not to mention, look through the actual legislation that is passing through your state legislature. Do that. Look through it. Expose it. And then see if your politicians do the right thing. And in Missouri, the Freedom Caucus is fighting all of this stuff. So we have politicians on the inside that are fighting this kind of stuff. Not specifically what Isaac is talking about yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion they will. Because they don't want their state taken over by the World Economic Forum either. I doubt that the Freedom Caucus is, thinking, fondly about the days ahead where they're going to be eating tofu burgers and crickets and mealworms. I don't think they want that. So
I'll keep my chickens.
Yep.
I'll keep my chickens.
Sure.
And I'll be making my own fuel and everything else.
That's right.
They want to try to take it from me. Well, they're going to run into another problem.
Yep. Let's see. Thana Nightshade says, is it polluting or are we falling victim to climate REE? I grew up next to silica plant that existed for decades in the Pacific, I'm sorry, and watch people lose their minds over a new one for pollution. I'm not exactly sure what that means. The silica pollution was the water in the water or something?
Oh, what? Okay, what they're saying is they're saying, are we just falling victim to another, like, some kind of, incoherent
Fear
screeching?
mongering.
Yeah, incoherent screeching fit over a different kind of climate thing. No, this is a lot more than just pollution. Polluting your local aquifer is one thing, and that's pretty bad. You want to try to avoid that. But we have other problems too, where we have outside sources that want to seize power in basically the entirety of the state of Missouri, enslave a large chunk of the population, strip people of their land, destroy their livelihood, and yeah,
Wait,
there's a lot of people
people ought to look at the mining that goes on in Africa, where they exploit the populations in Africa. And if you don't think that's not going to happen here, it'll happen here. The same thing. May not be children in the mines, but it's going to be poor people in the mines. And it's going to be like what they did in England, in Britain. And this is just not, they're not messing around. They really, really don't care about us as humans. They don't. I don't think they even think we're humans. I think they think we're subhuman.
Undimension.
Yes, that's right.
Yep. And Gretchen, your point is very well taken on that. I agree with that. Actually, when they're talking about people eating bugs, guys, we have lots and lots of history on this, and it happens to be in Africa. And the life expectancy of someone in Africa that eats bugs for protein is about 43 years. 43 years. And they're not getting very good protein. It is certainly, not the kind of protein that the human body needs. Now for, an ant eater or an aardvark running around eating ants for protein, that's different. But people are not meant to be eating crickets and grasshoppers and mealworms and tofu burgers. It's just not the right kind of protein. It just isn't.
That's my food's food.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron Swanson.
But that's what they have in store for. It's not just Missouri. It's every state. And I know we brought up Dean Plocker again, and the connection, of course, is John Deal. John Deal is connected to Dean Plocker. So Dean Plocker, at his position as House Speaker, is doing some things and has done some things that definitely benefit the WEF. Now, he can claim, I'm not doing it for the WEF, and that's fine. It's kind of interesting, though, how, basically some of the things he's doing in the state of Missouri seem to align very well with the WEF. For instance, Plocker put in his district, made sure that in his district appeared a battery factory. So basically they're making batteries for, the cars, but also too, cricket farms and mealworm farms. So that's what they want us to eat. And that's what went into Plocker's district. He said, well, that's just the way things are going, guys. I'm not doing this because I got a personal phone call from Klaus Schwab. I'm just doing this because this is the way things are going. And so we want to be ahead of everyone. That would be probably his response. Maybe we should try and get a meeting with Dean Plocker and talk to him about some of this stuff. And we have put out videos before, basically not accusing him, but asking the question, is he a WF agent? Because he seems to be quite aligned with them. Even though, John Deal is the connection for Dean, but so is his law firm. And also the Heritage Group that is the largest customer for his law firm, also tied to the WEF. So there's lots of, you remember I was talking when Isaac was on last week that you need like a big bulletin board where you can put something in the center and then everything that comes to the center. I mean, all the things that tie Dean Plocker to the WEF. You could almost do that, basically with the law firm, John Deal, the businesses going in his district. So what is Dean Plocker up to? And why is he getting phone calls from John Deal when he's being interviewed about scandals that he has performed as House leader? For instance, double dipping, on his expense reports. Yeah, John Deal.
That's pretty easy to figure out. Oh, sorry. It's pretty easy to figure out what John Deal wants. Look at the legislation that's getting attention on the floor.
That's right.
And then look at the businesses on the Secretary of State's website that he's a registered agent for.
That's right.
They're all. It's one for one.
Yes, it is. That's the point I was getting to. Plocker would probably say, I have nothing to do with the WEF, but he is inextricably tied to businesses and people that are definitely directly tied to the WEF. So I guess that's the way you got to play the game in politics. But it is a source of concern and what we do. So that's the obvious question. What do we do? What does the Missouri Freedom Initiative do? Number one, expose the corruption. And number two, shut down any legislation that's going through our, General Assembly that literally have any ties to World Economic Forum or anything that even looks like it's tied to the World Economic Forum. We shut down. We inform politicians of what's going on here. The Freedom Caucus is sticking their necks out. We can stick our necks out just a little bit too, gang. But this is the kind of stuff we're dealing with in the state of Missouri. And if you're in another state, you're dealing with this too, but you just don't know it yet. You just don't know it yet. You're not looking through all your state legislation. So I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Isaac, of course, but everyone else who's looking into this stuff in the state of Missouri, because we cannot correct the problems in the state until we expose the problems. And some Democrats like Jess Piper will say how embarrassing it is for Missouri, how embarrassing it is, that this is happening and that's happening. Well, unfortunately, that's what happens when you expose corruption. There's going to be some embarrassing moments. There's going to be a lot of Jess Piper's personal heroes in the General Assembly. They're going to look bad, but that's just the way it works. And Isaac, I, for one, have got to tell you, man, I really appreciate your work. Thank you for everything you do, man.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I'll tell you what, at this time, everyone can come in and chime in and talk. I don't see any more questions other than Ozark's Freedom Gal says they want us to eat the bugs. They're also trying to take away ivermectin. So, so that's kind of a cute comment there, but it's true.
You will eat the bugs.
For now on, for holidays, people should just start making sure they have bugs for the Democrats that come over for the events,
Gary Ride put in something interesting, Isaac. Let me read this to you, buddy. Yeah. Gary says, strong rumors from Matt Gaetz that Jason Smith is a closet gay man. Jason Smith may be compromised and blackmailable. So, I don't know. That's interesting because that is one of the big things there is to basically go into politics and not come out of the closet and be blackmailed all over the place. Let's see. Kali Singh says, UN General Assembly proclaimed 2015 to 2024 as the International Decade for People of African Descent. It's Resolution 68/237. So apparently, we're still at the tail end of the decade for people of African descent. I didn't even know. Who knew? So,
what's funny is the difference in culture between a lot of these countries in Africa, like the Congo and all those that they're running a lot of this stuff out of, versus the mindsets of people here in the States, particularly Midwest, Missouri.
Yep.
Which is a good reason why they're a lot less likely to be successful in that here.
Yeah.
Because the Congo, all of those countries were part of the, they were Soviet, they're communist for a long time. I mean, you had, what was it? Democratic People's Republic of the Congo.
Sure.
Numerous other African countries, including South Africa, had strong ties to the Soviet Union. And of course, the people in those countries became heavily indoctrinated into that mindset for quite some time, on top of disarming themselves. We're not quite the same here in the States. We don't just give up.
And Misty says, didn't Plocker get the meat printing factory also? I forgot about that. You're right. It's, basically fake meat plant. So I do believe that's being built, though. That's not finished yet.
That was actually one of the things that came out of his Israel trip.
That's right.
Which, if you look at the Israel trip and the timing of this supply chain task force executive order was like 5 or 6 days after they got back from that trip.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the first things the governor did was this executive order commissioning all this reworking of our supply chains and industries.
Yeah. I'm still upset that, I didn't know that the UN General Assembly had proclaimed that 2015 through 2024 was a decade of people of African descent. I need to talk to my banker because I get a calendar from them every year. And apparently they're not including enough UN General Assembly information in my yearly calendar. So, I'm sorry, guys. I joke. Go ahead.
What's even more messed up is that the UN, their headquarters is it's in Manhattan, New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's right there. Mm.
Yep, it sure is. Let's see. Gary Wright also writes, Jason Smith coming out as a gay farmer in conservative Christian area would pretty much end his political career. So, that may be part of what's going on. I don't know. So
I don't know. I think people are pretty darn tolerant nowadays,
yep.
But
I mean, we
they don't say that anybody's, they accuse anybody who's white of being intolerant, anybody who's, but
I mean, how many gay Republicans do we have in the House and Senate? I mean, the House, I think we got 2 in the House. Like,
I just don't see that being a ginormous issue.
I don't either.
No.
It would be,
but
if
there's still
go ahead.
Especially whenever you look at Donald Trump boasted he was one of the most gay-friendly presidents that we've ever had. So.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. I didn't know. So good to know that.
I think I vaguely remember that he said that he was president. Like, then again, he says he's been the most insert blank pro insert blank president ever.
I am the most supportive president of homosexuals ever in the history of America. It's huge, bigly,
huge, bigly.
Well,
we're
on
going
that same
to donate billions and billions of dollars.
On that note, though, Jason Smith is actually one of the top Trump allies in the U.S. House right now.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. If you go on his webpage, he's got a picture of President Trump right there on his banner.
Well, something else to figure out. Go ahead.
I'm going to be blunt here. I don't trust any of them. Like, when you're talking about particularly those that have been in there for a long time, or any current or former president, I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. I mean, you just don't. I mean, every president we've had since at least Theodore Roosevelt has been absolute garbage.
Yep.
That includes Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing
we
could
do. Wait.
Go ahead.
I'll give some credit to Calvin Coolidge because he did what a president is supposed to do. You know what that was? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I get it. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, gang. Basically, that's what we had planned for tonight. Isaac, basically had some more information for us. We're hoping politicians are watching this, and will actually take that data and start helping us shut down legislation in the General Assembly that forward WEF agendas in the state of Missouri. We don't need that. We don't want that. And it's time to just end that here. The fact that we have cobalt and we have the largest source of potable water in the entire United States, we share that table with Arkansas, by the way, makes us a target. And honest to God, that's going to be up to us. Look at how far they can take it when people aren't paying attention. And equally,
Actually,
go ahead.
I was going to say, hands off to the mayor of St. Charles if he's watching. See, he's been fighting that whole defund the police stuff. They're trying to bring that out there in St. Charles right now, and he ain't having it. The mayor in St. Charles actually standing up for his citizens out there.
Well, good deal.
Yeah. And y'all in St. Charles, go thank y'all's mayor for watching over y'all.
Yep. Let's see. So at any rate, but moving on basically to rally and everything else, gold and silver, reminding everyone that on Monday at 1:30 p.m., we have another rally at the Capitol. And this is to help push IP reform because it's stalled yet again in the Senate. The very same man, Caleb Rowden, who told us that was a top priority for him and the GOP, is stalling yet again. And now we're starting the 6th week of session. This should have been out of the Senate by now, way out of the Senate by now. And
isn't the bill handler Mary Elizabeth Coleman?
Mary Elizabeth Coleman,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And I believe that she's the one who took it off of the formal calendar and had it placed on the informal calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, we reserve judgment at this point. Hopefully the Freedom Caucus and the rallies can actually help cement this and actually get some forward motion going, some momentum going to actually getting that working and going through the system again. Yes, it'll be perfected. Yes, they'll be arguing over it, but let's get the argument going. Here's the deal, gang. If we wait until end of session, the way that Cindy O'Loughlin wanted us to do, all the Democrats have to do is filibuster, and it's done. We get another year over with no IP reform. This has happened before. So I definitely support IP initiative, actually that getting through the process as early as humanly possible in the General Assembly, and we can help. Now, as far as, and that's at 1:30 on Monday, literally 2 days from now. Now, also, I'll be up there not only for the rally, but I'll be working on getting more co-sponsors. I'm meeting with the chairman of the Finance Committee, that is Representative Mike O'Donnell, and be talking with him about gold and silver. And he has some questions about the bill, and I'll do my very best to answer them. And hopefully he will keep his word. Right now, it's looking like there's about an 85% chance of a hearing on the 20th of February. Please mark that date on your calendars. That is the date that if you want to testify for this bill in the House, that would be the day to do it. So at any rate, if that date changes, I should know Monday night. So if that date changes, I'll let everyone know as soon as I get that information. But right now, it looks like Tuesday, the 20th of February. And that would be a really good thing if a lot of people showed up to testify on behalf of that bill. I mean, we're having problems getting this through the House, gentlemen and ladies. I mean, this is a fact. I would like this to have moved faster. There's no reason to slow this bill down, but it's getting slowed down, but just like IP reform is. So let's go out there and do what we can. And also, too, keep making phone calls to the committee members for support of gold and silver, and remember to tell them why you want gold and silver. Very important aspect of getting this done. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else we need to read here. Let's see. Missouri Education says, watch the bill that has the EPA brownfield sites and Superfunds. Superfund is mentioned on the cobalt mine website. Interesting. Okay, something else to look for.
Say that again?
Yep, it's from Missouri Education. And Missouri Education says, watch for the bill that has the EPA brownfield sites and Superfunds. So just do a search on general or at the Senate and the House side for those keywords. He says Superfund is mentioned on the cobalt mine website.
Okay. That's cleanup. Isn't that what that's all about? Is trying to clean up environmental hazards?
That's what a Superfund is. Just like with the lead mines in southern Kansas and the ones with the Times Beach incident. Both of those, the Superfund generally goes to digging off about the top 6 to 12 inches of soil of the entire area, incinerating
Wow.
it and replacing it.
Still, you know what? It still doesn't work. I mean, there's places, well, I don't want to say it, it's a big corporation, but just say lead and glass, no matter how much you seem to try and get it out.
Yep.
The ones with the lead mines in Kansas, actually, I know somebody that drives a truck and was sent over there to carry a couple of loads. And the dirt, they can't do anything with it. They can try to wash some of the stuff out, but it's going to take a very, very long time to do all of that. And that involves piling those mounds of dirt for probably, tens of square miles.
And a lot of that's where John Deal and his environmental risk transfer that's associated with the cobalt mine is they have this separate business that's set up to absolve the cobalt mine and the operations of any environmental liability, and it transfers all over to this other private company that really doesn't have any assets to steal.
Yep. Also, let's see. Isaac, did you know that the cobalt mine was a Superfund?
I did not.
Okay, and he says, I'll get you the bill in 1 second. So basically, wait for that bill to come up. Tom Martz also chimed in and says that Springfield has a brownfield area downtown. So I wasn't aware of that, actually.
Kansas City has one too. It's smaller, but then there's St. Louis has one too. But it's a radiological brownfield, right next to an elementary school.
Misty puts a good
Or else
point.
they make parks out of them. They do.
Like Times
They
Beach.
do.
Like Times Beach.
Actually, yeah, because they figure no one's going to live there, so they just make a park, a public park or something.
Wilderness Gal dropped a Wikipedia page with all the Superfund a map of the Superfund sites.
Nice.
Superfunds are super fun.
Misty is talking about how hemp showing promise of absorbing the contamination out of the soil where it's grown, where then it can be incinerated. And another great thing about hemp is it actually heals the land. So
I met with a guy this week who's working on those projects up by Osage Beach in Lake of the Ozarks area. Pretty interesting.
Yep. Okay. All right, gang. I'm opening it wide open. Anyone have anything that we've missed or anything you'd like to talk about a little bit more? No pressure. No pressure at all, gang.
Oh, I'm just reading comments and trying to read through comments.
I know, I was too.
Yep. Yeah, I see that now where Maya, thank
do you
for
know the
link.
speakers at the rally? Who's speaking at the rally?
I don't know.
I know Bob Onder is. Bob Onder is.
Yep.
He said it.
Okay. Superfund sites as of October 2013. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what time are you planning on showing up Monday?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say between 9 and 10.
Mine will be, I'm taking the Amtrak out there, so that's going to be, I'll be there about 10 minutes before noon.
Okay, gotcha. All right, no problem. And once again, not an official knock and shock date, but we will be doing Missouri Freedom Initiative business by collecting more co-sponsors to the Silver and Gold Bill. And there's lots of folks that had promised to co-sponsor that haven't yet. So we'll be visiting those folks, again, and making sure that they make good on their promise. And so, and like I said, meetings. Go ahead.
Do we know of any knock and shocks in March?
Yeah, I don't have that date exactly yet. In fact, I wish Catherine were here. This will be the next rally date, and I don't know the exact date. And if I give it, I know I'll be wrong. But there is one in March. I think it's March 6th. And I think that's the date, but I'm not sure. But I will be.
I was hoping for the
Go ahead.
I was saying I was hoping for the 5th.
Okay, gotcha.
But,
Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe it is the 5th. I don't know. I've got to look into it, but it actually, Gary Ride says, I nominate Pat Holland to speak at the rally. No, thank you. However, Catherine will be speaking at the rally. So Catherine and I believe Jody will probably do a little bit of speaking there too. Those women deserve the credit for this, and they certainly should be getting up in front of the people and letting them know, basically what we're doing there. Remember now, the Freedom Caucus does not set up these rallies. They have nothing to do with setting up these rallies. Trust me. I'm in the Signal chats, and there ain't anybody in there from the Freedom Caucus. These are pure grassroots people, pure and simple. And there's a lot of them, too. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
We got a question here. In HB 1955, let's see here. Does the treasurer have near complete control of a repository?
Well, that's actually an excellent question because in that bill, what it states in there is the treasurer may, collect gold and silver up, not less than 1%. And the word may is there. There is absolutely no guidelines for the treasurer in 1955 at all. So if something like that happened and the treasurer started getting gold and silver, we would definitely have to look at the possibility of new legislation telling the treasurer, basically how it needs to be handled. So that is I know that's not the answer that you were looking for, but I do think that is the appropriate answer for that question. The current treasurer, I met with him 2 times, and he is not excited about a depository, really doesn't want the gold and silver stuff. He has been pretty outspoken about that. So basically, if he is not reelected and we get Andrew Koenig is very excited about the possibility of a depository. So if he gets elected, we can look into, maybe some new legislation that would define the depository. And so that's the issue that we run into. And I'm just being straight up honest with you. I am not saying that Vivek Malik is a bad guy, our treasurer. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying he's got real cold feet when it comes to gold and silver for whatever reason, which he has not shared with anybody. But he's got cold feet on gold and silver, and that is a fact. So let's see. Kali, local city councils passing on Stop the Hate proclamations as groundwork for when they start paying.
UN Stop the Hate proclamations.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. UN. Okay. Gotcha. Stop the Hate proclamations. Groundwork for when they start paying middle hotels $600 a day in little sleepy towns across America as they did in Ireland protesting. Interesting.
Yeah, Ireland's a mess.
It is.
Bloody mess.
A very big bloody mess right now. And the really sad part is I think they've passed the point of the people being able to do something about it without taking it next level. And that's the thing you don't talk about because we're on YouTube.
I think if they just had a set of cojones on them and did what the French and the Germans are doing right now, they might have a better chance. But hey.
Yeah. Yeah, something went. And guys, that's another thing too. I cannot say enough for all the farmers in Europe right now that are fighting this totalitarianism coming from the WEF. And yes, Europe is under siege. What they're doing is they're raising diesel prices on farmers to the point where, and they also cap how much money they can make from what they grow.
Ireland, they decided to seize and slaughter hundreds of thousands of cattle.
Yep. Yeah, I did hear about that actually. So, guys, this totalitarian stuff is not going to stop with Europe. They're coming here. That's why we're exposing the stuff we're doing right now in the state of Missouri. We don't want this garbage here. Yet the Europeans were already pretty socialist. So some of these ideas, DEI, CRT, SEL, basically, eat the bugs, everyone will own nothing and be happy, was something that was already part of the mentality in Europe because of the socialism there. That's how they got such an easy foot in the door in Europe. We have to fight this tooth and nail in the United States. I mean, we don't want to be Illinois. And I know that offends people from Illinois when I say that. And then no offense to people from Illinois, but Missouri does not want to be Illinois. And honest to God, we're going to fight it. We don't want to be like, if we wanted to be like Illinois, we could move to Illinois and enjoy those, the crime there, illegal aliens that are serving as law enforcement in Illinois.
High property taxes.
Extremely high property taxes. That's right.
The houses are cheap, but you're going to be paying a buttload in property taxes.
Yep, that's right. So, in fact, that's common in Illinois now. Your escrow actually is more than your mortgage. So your house payment, it's like 30% house payment, 70% escrow to take care of your insurance and your property tax. I mean, I've heard of it being that bad there in Illinois firsthand. This is not something I read online. That's how bad property taxes are. And look what, the blowback that we get every time we try to get rid of personal property tax. And I want to remind folks of this. This is why it's so important to testify when it comes to House or Senate hearings on bills to get rid of taxes in Missouri. And believe it or not, with our current crop of leaders in Missouri, it's impossible to get rid of taxes. Anytime they lessen a tax, they bring another one up. They do targeted tax cuts for farmers, which is in blatant violation of the Missouri Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, equal application of the law. So if we take all this as red and gold and actually follow, basically where we can grow, economically in the state of Missouri, it is tax cuts. We are too heavily taxed here for a red state. So at any rate, we're getting a lot of money coming in from the federal government. So when you go and testify on a tax that they're trying to get rid of, whether it be personal property, sales tax on food, which is something we're not doing again until Plocker's out, because Plocker will not let that on the House floor. I'll just be straight up honest with you guys. If you wondered, why isn't the Missouri Freedom Initiative pushing getting rid of sales tax on food? Answer is real easy. Dean Plocker. He won't let it on the floor, and he is speaker. He won't let it go there. So why would we waste our efforts and time? We tried for 2 years. He won't let it on the floor. So it's that simple, gang. But if you testify, what you can do is set up a condition. If you testify for a bill like Senator Eigel's get rid of personal property tax, you can literally sit in that committee and say, I am here on my own time, my own dime. I'm taking the day off of work, so I'm taking a financial hit. The $60 it takes me to do this round trip up to Jeff City and talk to you today, out of my own bank account. No one's paying for my lunch. And I want everyone who speaks after me to answer whether or not they're paid to be here. That's what you have a right to do when you go into those committee hearings. Because you know who's behind you? Firemen, teachers unions, Sheriff's Association, Police Chiefs Association, Prosecutors Association, all coming in to talk about how we can't get rid of that tax. We need the money. We need the money. We have to keep the tax. You're going to break us. We can't afford fire trucks anymore if you take away sales tax on food. We can't even get fire trucks. How are we going to serve the... This is the nonsense they spew. What they need to say...
Use your existing trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
No, what you can do is... What you can do is tame the loaded tick of the school districts and distribute some of that money to the other.
Yeah, there you go.
To the police and fire. I mean, it's like you have a huge tick sitting on, sucking off of the taxpayer, and then you got these tiny little satellite ticks that are the fire department.
Yep, that's right. And I forgot to mention.
And they're just getting the leftovers.
You're right. And I forgot to mention that. So thank you, Gretchen. When we were testifying on sales tax on food, there was a lot of people representing MSBA, NEA, superintendents across the state, all came in to testify. But what did we do when we testified? And we were 9 of us to testify. This was in 2023. This was for Mary Elizabeth Coleman's bill. We went up and said, we're up as individuals. You don't go as a group to testify. It's one person at a time. And we said, We're here on our own time, and we're here on our own dime, and we want to hear everyone who is speaking after us, whether or not they're paid to be here. We're curious because we're taking time off of work. You know, we have to pay our own way here. We want to know if the people that are going to come up and speak against this bill are being paid to be here. That's all you do, folks. It's what we call the nuclear option, and it works. They won't come up and testify. At least that's been our experience. And they're afraid to be asked by a senator, are you paid to be here? You know, they're not going to mention it themselves, of course. They're afraid that they might be asked.
Are you on the
question.
clock?
That's right. Are you on the clock?
Are you on the clock?
But this is how you shut them down in a hearing. This is how you do it. We've been successful. I'm going to shut up now. You guys go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it just sounds like you know, when they're on the clock, it's you want to talk about a conflict of interest.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Gary Ride says it's all about the fire trucks. It certainly is. With the Gary's had one or two run-ins in committee hearings with firemen there, you know, from the Firemen's Association and actual firemen in uniform. You know, that's the thing. You know, I'm an IT guy. I got to dress the part when I go up there. I got to figure out what an IT guy dresses like so I can be like a fireman in full regalia, you know, holding your helmet bravely under your arm while you're at the Capitol to testify on a bill. And it's like doctors going up there, you know, with their white coats on and their stethoscopes bravely hung around their necks, you know, to prove I am a doctor. This is my credentialism. I do it by the clothing I wear. So maybe we should all consider wearing something different when we go up there. You know,
I'll put an apron on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there you go. But the fact of the matter is, it's hilarious how these people take these, these hearings to that level where they want to dress like a fireman. They are literally driving 200 miles away from home, you know, in probably, some kind of, fireman's, vehicle, not a fire truck, all up there together on the clock, getting paid, getting their lunch paid for, and they come in full fireman regalia. That's just ridiculous. That's just really stupid. I don't. Oh well, but you got to make a show of it, right? So
yep.
So rant off. Sorry, gang, but that really pisses me off. Actually, when we go to these hearings, and basically just a line of people speaking against it, and no one's asking them, "Are you paid to be here?" We would like to know. It will not affect, basically any statement you give us, but we're just curious. Are you paid to be here? And they should be asking that of everyone who ever testifies on anything up in Jefferson City, ever, everything, in my opinion, because we need to know how many people are citizens like us and how many people are paid to go up there, basically to try and get legislation done. I'm not getting paid. So, and neither are you guys. And this is.
Yeah, if these public entities don't start getting real about the economic situation,
Yep.
And start planning for the future, in the near future at least, it's going to go very, very badly for everyone involved, including the citizens.
Okay. Well, Shane Gordon is recommending a pocket protector for me. So I've got the glasses already, so the pocket protector is probably that's what I'll do.
Okay. Yep.
Yep, that makes sense.
Don't forget.
Go ahead.
The pins in your your pins in your
flash
shirt
drive
pocket.
around my neck like I normally wear when I work. Yeah.
Yes.
A pocket protector, flash drive. I'm going to put Band-Aids around, the two joints on the glasses, and just to make it look like
And a
they've
piece
been
of
repaired,
electrical tape in
expertly
the middle.
repaired. Yeah.
And electrical tape in the middle.
Yeah, electrical tape in the middle. There you go.
Go.
Let's see. Ozark's Freedom Gal says, can we still store our coats in Eigel's office? The answer to that is absolutely. Yep. And in fact, we have more offices that have offered to host us when we go up there for knock and shocks. But at any rate, I do believe Sherry knows I will be up there, so she's expecting us probably to use Bill Eigel's office anyway. That's my guess. I have not talked to her specifically about this, I don't think, but I think she's making an assumption we'll be there for the rally because Missouri Freedom Initiative is on the poster for the rally. So at any rate, yes, we can definitely store our coats and lunch boxes if we're there all day in Eigel's office. And don't forget, that includes Bill Hardwick's office. And Holly Jones has offered her office to help us out as well if we need extra space. And Chad Perkins has also offered up his office.
Travis,
go ahead.
I think Travis Smith said so too.
And Travis Smith. Yep, that's right.
Floor.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I forgot about Travis Smith. Thank you for reminding me on that. So, I forgot about him offering. And gosh darn it, guys, we do have a lot of really good friends up there. I'm very grateful for that. So
he and I go back and forth on DMs every now and again, and he'll turn around, hey, you're always welcome to,
Yeah.
I think in that little office over there by the elevator, he gets lonely.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? He's fun to visit with, though, too.
He is fun.
But we're working when we go up there. Okay, gang. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to look on Twitter. I forgot to check Twitter to see if we've got anything going on. And let's see, on the comments. And you know what? For some reason, the chat just doesn't work in Twitter. It just doesn't work. It's there. You can see it, but you can't type in it. And I'm sorry for that. So if you guys want to say stuff in Twitter, just put it in the comments below the video, and I'll be looking there. And let's see. I'm not seeing anything new there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Sam. I'm going to go ahead and check out early because I'm still not quite over all this crud that I've been fighting this week, and I'm starting to feel like I've stretched the envelope a little bit, but I've enjoyed myself, and hopefully next week will be even better.
Yep, good deal. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Sam, and look forward to talking with you tomorrow night on
Sam.
Off the Cuff.
You bet.
Catch you later, Sam.
We'll be there. That's another reason I want to get plenty of rest now because I got to be there to handle all 3 hours of that show.
Yep.
So,
yep, gotcha.
Anyway.
Night, good night, Sam.
You bet.
Take care, buddy. God bless you, man. Okay. Pardon me, gang. Getting a little froggy here. I need some liquid. Okay. Any more questions, comments you guys want me to read? Let's see. And, of course, we're welcome to use some in area 115A, Holly Jones. Misty Atkinson is letting us know, of course, that Holly Jones' office is available to us when we go up for any Missouri Freedom Initiative business. And thank you very much, Misty, for that. It's very much appreciated. And let's see. Okay, Tom Mart says, Patrick, the Springfield Brownfield area is the railroad yard under the Grant Street overpass across the street from the Hotel of Terror. So we have a Hotel of Terror, apparently. It doesn't sound like the best part of town.
I mean, depends on what it is. Is it a haunted hotel?
It could be haunted, It could be Hotel of Terror because of their pricing, too. So, I mean, that could be what it is. We do have, inflation going on. Missouri Education says, for the hearings, you can watch the House ones live and in the archives. Senate is audio only and not archived. We need to get the Senate ones available. Actually, I've heard of people pulling stuff from the Senate archive, and I don't know how to do it. But they are not video in the Senate, except for the joint chamber. That is video, where the House and the Senate will meet together. But the Senate largely is just audio. And you're right. You can actually get the archives for anything that happens in the House. So when we're doing a hearing, I will do everything I can in my power to get someone to record that for me, and someone who can't go when that hearing for Silver and Gold is happening, because I'd like to turn that into a video. So that is on video and audio, of course, as well. So we can get that out for folks to see. And that also helps other states when they're going through the same process. Senate floor has archive, not hearing. Okay, the Senate floor has archive. Gotcha. Understood. Thank you. Okay, gang, is there anything else you guys can think of that was missed? First of all, Doug and Maya are on the phone with us, just like Sam was. So, Doug, Maya, do you guys have any comments on anything that was happening tonight? Anything you want to share with us?
Not really. The later it gets, I get pretty mellow, and tonight I am tired. We worked hard on the farm, so I'm sorry I don't have any input tonight.
Oh, that's okay. And I know
I'm
that.
happy for this, though.
Yep, I know you guys do work hard, and I appreciate you guys very much. And I know that this rally came up quick. This wasn't scheduled by me, but at the same time, keep in mind the 20th. Keep that one in mind, and that way, if basically it's looking like that'll be the hearing date for HB 1955, and if it is, as many people as we can get up there to testify for that bill would be great.
We cannot make it on Monday because there was somebody already off in my area, so I can't get it off.
Okay.
We'll just have to see for the next one.
Gotcha. Okay. And when I put out an email, either Monday night or Tuesday morning, I will let everyone know the next knock and shock date. So that's coming here real soon. So, and that'll be in March, by the way. And it's going to line up with another rally.
I'm hoping it's not the 6th.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I should sit here on my phone and see if I can figure it out. It might be the 11th. You know what? If someone else wants to talk for a little bit, I will do what I can to see if I can find the date. But you guys have to know what I'm going through here. This is literally many, many, many hundreds of texts in the Signal group. Many hundreds. And
Signal groups are always fun.
Yep, and I don't see a search parameter, but
if you actually you're on your phone, right?
Yep, I'm on the phone. Yeah, there's search off the hand. Okay, let me see if I can find something here. Let's see, March. I'll put in March.
Yeah, usually if you use a search term up at the top on that search bar, you can find.
Someone has to talk because I have to read. I meant hundreds.
Did you, Caleb? Did you hear any scuttlebutt at all about when Elizabeth Coleman shoved off the bill?
You know, I saw that on Twitter. That was actually pretty interesting. Look what she what was that? 4 hours ago, replying to Bob Onder. I just took the screenshots and stuck it in the chat here. She is just being snarky, to say the least. Yeah, she replied direct. So Bob Onder was talking about. Let's see here.
March 11th.
Why think? Oh, March 11th.
I found it. Yep. And this is direct from Catherine Dreyer, the source. March 11th is the next rally. So, guys, that will be our next knock and shock date, March 11th.
I will probably be able to make that one because I had looked at the calendar for March, and the only day somebody was off was the 6th.
Okay. So
I will look at that tomorrow, and if I can get that off, I'll schedule it tomorrow.
Okay.
Or Monday, not tomorrow.
No problem. I appreciate that very much. And that is, like I said, oh, hang on. JRM has been talking in Odyssey. I'm sorry, JRM. Let's see. I think that someone needs to be taking pictures, videos of all the paid sideshows that are witnessed at the state capitol. And, actually, honest to God, you actually get that pretty much in House hearings and Senate hearings, too. Cameras and camcorders are allowed in the Capitol, I do believe. Yes, they are. Time in history, correct? Paid firemen at the Capitol prior to the building being on fire, right? That's right. Those firemen are ready for a fire when they go in and testify. It's really amazing. They're just, I guess they're on the clock 200 miles from home. So they're actually still on the clock and on call. So if that fire starts raging, I'm sorry, senators, I got to drive 200 miles back to my district and put out a fire. So I got to see you. I'll see you later.
You can never be too prepared.
That's right. Okay. All right, gang. Well, I'm thinking about wrapping it up here. So final words from anyone?
Look what
Valentina Gomez.
Yes, Secretary of State.
Okay.
The other option that is not Rowden.
The other flamethrower.
Oh, the flamethrower gal. That's right. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
She's 24 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think she's got I think she actually owns a surplus store over in the St. Louis area.
Gotcha.
Like an Army surplus store or something.
Well, I know a lot of guys that are hoping that that she'll marry them. You know, as I mean, if you look on Twitter, there's a lot of guys going, "Yeah, that's my wife." By the way, gang, she doesn't know it yet. Don't tell her. I haven't talked to her yet. But
she is very petite and very pretty, and the ambition oozed out of her at the Springfield Library event. She's going places.
She seems like a fun, interesting character.
Yeah.
Wilderness Gal said, go ahead.
I was going to say, look what I dropped in here, the screenshots on the sidebar.
I saw them. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Vote
She's
Smod.
trying to get... Well, that's one thing, but scroll down.
Okay. Bob Onder. Many people love and respect the doc. You're alienating MAGA conservative voters with this premature and very distasteful attack. Your true colors are showing. And this is for Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Feeling a little insecure about your record compared to mine, Bob? Keep tweeting. We're all getting a big kick out of it.
Look at the next one down. I took the screenshot of the original post.
Okay. Bob Onder. Are you in favor of putting abortion in our Constitution? If not, stop playing games and pass IP reform on Monday. And then Mary Elizabeth Coleman says, feel a little insecure about your record. Hang on, same thing. Okay.
Yeah, that was her reply.
Gotcha. Yep.
She's getting snarky, to say the least.
Yep. Well, I think she really truly thought she was going to get that position, District 3, Congressional District 3, with a song and a dance. And now there's some real competition. And there's name recognition there with Bob Onder that Mary Elizabeth Coleman does not have. And that's a fact.
He also has a really nice way about him.
Yeah.
He's kind of statesman-like.
Sure. Okay. And Wilderness Gal said, well, I can bravely hold my cleaver whilst wearing my professional butchering gear, boots, when I testify. LOL. That's right. There we go. And just say you're on call. You're very important, and you're on call. So therefore, that's why you're dressed as a butcher with a cleaver. So there you go.
You never know when something needs to be butchered.
Yep.
God may need a sacrifice.
Valina Gomez is the 24.
Yeah, it's.
Yep. Okay, gang. Well, I'll tell you what. Like I said, last thoughts. Anything, and I'll check all the socials one more time. And Gilded, last thoughts. We're gonna go ahead and close up here pretty quick. Nothing on Rumble. Nothing new, in other words, on Rumble. I want to thank everyone on Rumble for watching tonight. YouTube, we got a lot of love tonight. It won't show this on the bottom of the video, but on my side, I can see that we've had, literally as individuals, 124 people watching us tonight on YouTube. So, of course, that will never translate into they screw us on the view counts. To make us feel small and unimportant. And guess what, YouTube? The joke's on you. I was small and unimportant well before I had a YouTube channel. So no big deal there. Okay, nothing on Odyssey. And now I'm going to check on Twitter and see if we got any comments here that we need to know about. We need to answer. And nope, nothing new. Okay. All right, gang. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you guys the last words. Anything you guys want to say? Monday. Remember Monday.
It's good evening.
Hey, good evening to you. Guten Abend, as they say in Germany.
Good Abends, yeah.
Yep. Guys, I want to thank you again for spending what looks like about 2 hours with us tonight, especially for Isaac's presentation. And I know it wasn't the entire thing, but Isaac is digging up incredibly important data. And also people are working with Isaac to help him with that. And everyone who's doing that, you know who you are, and thank you very much, because this is very, very, very critical that we at least make sure that the people of Missouri know that the WEF is working through our politicians, big business leaders, through John Deal as well. I mean, that's a name that just came up in the last week on this, actually, technically, for, a lot of interesting things going on. But your time is important too. And the fact that you spend some of your time with us actually honors us. We're trying to educate and get people to actually actively participate in their government in the state of Missouri. And that's you folks. And we're up there all the time too in Jefferson City. We're sending emails. We are making phone calls. But your visits are the ones that literally have the biggest impact with politicians in the state of Missouri. And that is a fact. So again, thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful week. Please visit Jefferson City on Monday at 1:30 for the rally if you can make it. If you can't make it, please make phone calls for Silver and Gold HB 1955 as we scour the house for more co-sponsors. Thanks again. May God bless each and every one of you with good health, with wealth, with wisdom, and everything you need to make sure that the state of Missouri is free, prosperous, and full of liberty for each and every person who lives in the state of Missouri. And that's because of you. So thank you again. Take care, guys. God bless you.